Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my second coming out and everything that entails and why I had to come out for a second time, what I came out about, and all that jazz. So if you guys want to hear about that, keep on watching. First, I want to give a shout out to my very much appreciated Patreon members. I now have a new record for myself. I have more supporters over there than I ever have, and I'm just really enjoying my community. So if you guys want to get to know me in a deeper, more intimate light, definitely check out my Patreon. You won't be disappointed. So as many of you know, I spent 4 years working in the adult film industry. I originally entered the industry because I was in a tough part of my life. I was in financial ruins, fresh out of college, not graduated, and I just really needed to find some way to make a lot of money quickly. I spent some time working at other jobs before that, such as Home Depot, FedEx, and Baskin-Robbins, just to name a few. And those jobs just really weren't cutting it. I was depressed. I hated working for those places. And it's nothing against those companies. It's just the atmosphere and the instability and the pay. It was just all combined into a soup of unhappiness. And growing up, my dad always told me that, you're never going to work a day in your life if you love what you're doing. And that's always stuck with me. I know it's kind of cliche, but he kind of drilled that into my head as I was growing up, because my dad has always worked very hard, very, very hard. Commuting 2 hours each way to work, waking up at 3 a.m., out of the house at 4 a.m. Since I've been alive, that's all I've known my dad to do. And I've just seen how exhausted he always is. He really doesn't have energy to do anything fun, and life is all about fun and experiencing things and seeing new sights and just seeing how tired he always was. I never wanted to work a blue-collar job. I do have experience working blue-collar jobs throughout high school and before I moved to Arizona. I just didn't want to work a job like that for the rest of my life, where I'm just so tired at the end of the day. One thing I do like about blue-collar jobs is that it is an honest day's work. So you get that satisfaction at the end of the day, like, wow, I really put my work in, and now it's time to just relax and enjoy the rest of my day. That's something that I don't really have anymore with the work that I do, but I'm finding ways to bring that back into my life. Before I entered the adult film industry, I didn't think that I would have to come out again and expose myself for working in this industry. I thought if I took the right measures, I could keep it hidden in a way. Something in the back of my head kept reminding me that people are going to find out. And I knew it was going to happen one way or another. I just didn't know how. And I had money to make. I genuinely didn't realize that I would have to practically come out again and expose this secret life that I had been living since I moved out to Arizona. One day I got a call from my dad, and this was out of the blue. He was calm, cool, and collected, and he just kindly asked me, "Son, are you doing?" Now, I had no idea what he was calling me about, because my dad only ever calls me if he has a question or needs something, and it's kind of sad to think about. I wish it was different, but it's not. That's just how it is with my dad and I. So I thought, okay, what does he want? And he asked me that question, and I paused. I answered, "Yes, I am. This is what I'm doing to support myself." I didn't go into a whole argument with him, but guys, if he actually supported me and helped me out here in Arizona, where I had no family at the time, I was working 2 jobs at one point, and I was a full-time student, and I still couldn't support myself. I remember calling him once a week. I got to the point where I didn't want to call him anymore because I felt like I was annoying him. But I would call him and I'd be like, "Dad, please, can you help me out with something? Like, I'm really hungry." I would be to that point where I had no money to buy food. I literally had no money. It was just scary, and it angered me in a way. So I guess in a way I rebelled against the treatment that he gave me, and I decided to start webcamming, and then that led into the adult film industry. So I had this rebellious energy inside of me. I didn't really care what he thought, or what my family thought for that matter, because I felt like I'm struggling so hard right now, and I'm scared for my life. I don't know where my life is going. And I felt like I have nothing else to lose. So let's see what happens. I've always been religious, and I've always believed in the power of God and the power of prayer. So that was a major thing that I was doing during this point in my life. And that's how I entered the industry. So when he called me that one day and asked me, I didn't want to lie to him. I told him the truth, because it's not like he could take anything away from me. It's not like he could ground me or disown me. I already disowned myself from the family just about from moving so far away. I felt like he's not paying my bills, my mom's not paying my bills, my sister's not paying my bills. Nobody is. That's all my responsibility. And if I don't do something about this, problems are going to arise. I kept going through this thought process in my head when I was really getting into the industry and brand new into it. I just felt like, why would anybody care what I'm doing? I've already tried other avenues. I'm trying to stay in school and do the right thing. Nothing was working. So finally, once I got into this industry, it wasn't all cake and butterflies. It was definitely difficult, and there were unforeseen challenges that came up. I got through it successfully, and I didn't get addicted to anything. I didn't get into any toxic relationships or anything for that matter. I really just stayed in it to win it. And in my opinion, I won it, and I got everything I wanted out of the industry. But I'm still left with this wound of abandonment from my family. And it's not like I can expect them to just support every single decision that I've made, because I've always been rebellious. I remember getting in trouble in elementary school for stupid things. But I just never thought that I would feel disowned but not be disowned. And when I say that, I mean, I can't talk about any aspect of my work with my family. I've tried multiple different times, and I get shut up each and every time. I'm very respectful with what I say. I don't just say, oh yeah, I was getting plowed on the bed and this happened. No, I don't even talk about things that happen on set. I would mention like, oh, I just hit 5,000 YouTube subscribers, or oh, I'm doing really well and I'm staying really focused with all of my content, and you should check out this new YouTube video I just posted. I never got any support from my family regarding that stuff, and something that I recently have accepted is that I'm never going to get that from them. And I can't be working myself so hard to try to appease them and make them feel proud. I need to do it for myself. And I do want to say that I am extremely proud of myself, but it would be very nice if my family could just say, hey, I'm proud of you. Like, hey, I like what you're doing, or that was a cool video, something like that. It's really alienating to feel like you can't speak about your passions and what you put your time and energy into. It sucks. I assumed my dad's ex-girlfriend told him about my decision to join the adult film industry before I had a chance to. I just assumed, but it's that gut feeling that I always talk about on my YouTube videos. Also, guys, I saw somebody mention in a past video, why do you always look to the right? I have a viewfinder on my camera, and it's a bad habit, but I do check the viewfinder every couple of seconds just to make sure everything's okay, I'm not out of battery or anything like that. So sorry about that. But I assumed one of his ex-girlfriends told him my business before I had a chance to. That was definitely not a good feeling. But I accepted it, and I knew it was going to happen. And then after that, more and more people started to find out, including my mom's side of the family, which I found very interesting. Now, when my mom first moved to Arizona, her and I moved in together into a 2-bedroom apartment, and I kind of wanted to just help her get on her feet in Arizona, and I also needed to get on my feet. She finally saw how bad I was struggling out here, and she was struggling herself back in Maryland, and she felt like it was time to start new. So she moved out here. We did not get along for like the entire year that we lived together. I was crawling to get out of that apartment, and it was just really tough going from living alone and then back to living with one of your parents. It was very difficult. And when I say we weren't getting along, guys, we really weren't getting along. She was very uncomfortable all the time. I was very uncomfortable all of the time. She didn't really know me that well because I had lived away from her for 3 years in Arizona, and it was like she was getting to know me again and new attributes that I had, and just new things about me. And I think she didn't like some of the things that she was learning about me, which is fine. But she learned that I didn't smoke cigarettes anymore, so I was very strict about her smoking cigarettes all the time, and just some other small things. But mind you guys, I was on the lease, I was paying my half of the rent, so it wasn't your typical mother and son dynamic. So I assumed that she would speak to her sisters and console her sisters about the struggles and frustrations that she was having with me. And at this time, I did tell her that I was in the industry. I just flat out told her, and she had no thoughts on it. No thoughts. I mean, she is my mother though, so what can I expect her? How can I expect her to feel about that? I've always been really understanding when it comes to other people's feelings, so I try my hardest to look at the stick at both ends. Does that make sense? So after I told my mom about this, about 2 weeks later, I get the nastiest text message from my now deceased aunt, and she basically just said that I was disowned from the family, I wasn't a part of the Ravens anymore, which is not even my legal last name, and she was just trying to really make me feel like disgusted with myself, and she wanted to show me that she was disgusted. I just want to say that I hadn't spoke to this aunt in probably 5 years before this point, so it was way out of left field. I didn't have her number saved, so I didn't even know who was texting me, and there was like 3 or 4 long messages just going in depth of how disgusting I am and how I'm never going to amount to anything. And I just felt immediately like my mom. And it hurts for me to say that, but these issues have continued on. And I've talked about in previous videos about how I have a cousin who likes to just run her mouth and talk about me. And I hate it about, like, I don't ever want to see her again. And I used to be really cool with her and her sister and her brother, my 2 other cousins, but they are just such drama starters, and family is the last place I want drama. I mean, my work is just engulfing myself in drama. So when I spend time around my family, I don't want to be around anybody who might start something or confront me with something. I don't need that. And I have a wedding coming up that I'm going to, and I'm just hoping that there's no issues, but I'm going in with my armor on. When I came out to my sister about my choice to work in the industry, her reaction was just how I thought it would be. She did not respect it. She was disgusted by it. She didn't want to know anything about it. I just kind of shrugged that off because that's exactly what I was planning for. You guys know how brother and sister relationships are. She's my only sibling. She is 3.5 years older than me. So we're not so close in age, but we're not so far in age where there's still that competition between each other. And ever since she moved out of Utah back to Maryland, she has not liked me at all. And we used to be best friends. When I first moved to Arizona and she was living in Utah, I drove up to see her on spring break one year, my freshman year of college. And it was like I met this new best friend that I never even knew about. We were adults, we were out living on our own on the West Coast, and it was just like this new person that I was learning about and meeting. And then when she moved back to Maryland, we just didn't get along anymore, guys. It sucks, but I would be home for like 2 or 3 days for a family function. It would be like a year since I had seen her last, and we would be arguing like cats and dogs on the first day that I got to Maryland. I just got to the point where I realized my sister and I don't get along, and that's fine. I have to accept that. I don't hate her. I hope she doesn't hate me, but I don't have any disdain or disgust for her, and I hope she moves on from that one day and realizes that I'm her only sibling, and we know each other more than anybody else. So that's one thing I wish was different, but now that I'm not in the adult film industry, things have changed. Not drastically. I'm still left with the wounds of deciding to join this industry in the first place, and that's something I'm always going to have to deal with. And I do think about that from time to time. What if I have kids one day and my kids find this? How am I going to express this to them? Especially some of the studios that I wish I never worked for. Like, how am I going to express why I made that decision? Or it just makes me nervous for my future in a way. I will overcome that. There's a particular studio that I worked for last year, and I really wish I never chose to work with them. I'm just not feeling good about it. I've never felt this way after seeing my videos online, but seeing different videos that they've posted to free websites and how they're just so readily available, it makes me so regretful of that decision to work for them. I can't mention their name, but I just really wish I never worked for them because I don't like what they represent. And sometimes in life we make decisions that we look back on and we think, why? Why did I do that? And this is one of those decisions, but I have to accept it because it's history now. And I can only learn from that decision and move on from it. It's not who I am. It was a tough place in my life. I needed the money when I worked for them. Now I look back and I think, if I didn't go to that studio, would I be where I am right now? And I go back and forth on that. I'm not really sure. Maybe I would be where I am now if I didn't work for them, but I don't know. I just feel like coming to terms with decisions that you've made in your past that you might not be proud of or might be disgusted in yourself with, you have to accept them and come to terms with them, because your heart will hold on to that and it will start to like bleed out through your face. And not until recently have I felt so regretful of working for a particular studio, but I'm just really hoping that I can push that in the past and move on from it. One thing that has always really bothered me since I entered the adult film industry was that I could never express my accomplishments or achievements, things that I was going through, struggles I was going through. I could never express that to any one of my family members, the people who I love the most. And that made me feel like I was living in secret. I was living this double life again. And this was after I came out about working in the industry. I still felt like this. And that is part of what led me to the decision to quit and to stop, because I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take feeling like the black sheep of the family, feeling like disowned, but not really disowned, but actually disowned. That's how I feel. I feel like my dad, in a way, has indirectly disowned me. He doesn't ever ask about how I am doing, what my plans are, and, I'm his only son. I'm his youngest child, and it would just be nice to hear from him once in a while, or to hear him ask about how I'm doing, what I'm doing, anything. But I've gotten to the point now that I realize I'm not working to make anybody else happy. I'm working to make myself happy and proud of myself. For a while there, I was working to make as much money and to have the nicest clothes and the flashiest things, just to show my family, like, look, I'm not struggling anymore. I really got myself out of those trenches. I never got the flowers that I was just working so hard to get from my family members, and I'm at the point now where I realize I'm never gonna get those flowers. Alright guys, well, that was my video about my second coming out. I hope you enjoyed this and got to learn a little bit more about me after watching this. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and if you enjoyed it, give this video a like. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, definitely subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Other than that, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!